Hey, it's Steve Throndson. I want to talk to you a little bit today about the Calgary real estate market, and that's because I'm so excited about it. We're finally seeing this thing come back to life. We've waited a long time for it. 2014 is what it feels like. And 2014, if you were here, was a great year. We as investors made a lot of money. Things were really good. Optimism was high. We're feeling that out in the market right now. We're seeing sales volumes that we haven't seen in many years. So to give you some perspective on that, September of 2021 was the second highest sales volume for a September. And then we get over to October and get this, the highest sales of any October ever within the Calgary real estate market. It's absolutely bananas out there. It's been a lot of fun. It's a good time to be a seller again. I know for a lot of years doing this, we've been having conversations with our seller clients saying, hey, I'm sorry, your house is not worth more than last year. And hey, sorry, it's actually worth less in some cases. Not happy places, but now we're getting back on the phone with our clients and saying, hey, remember last year when we told you were worth $550 and that wasn't good enough? Well, we might get you $6, we might get you $6.25 even right now. And it's happening. It's really doing well. Let's talk about the inventory story, because that really shows us where our market's going. We've already established that sales are hot, things are moving. What do we have for inventory? Well, inventory right now is the lowest we've seen in many years. If you look at a bar graph that shows Calgary over the last probably 15 years, you're gonna see that this is one of the lowest inventory periods that we've ever experienced. Sales volume continues to be high, inventory's down. I think we all know what that is indicating. We're seeing that in the markets surrounding Calgary as well. So to give you some perspective, if we take together Airdrie, Cochrane, and Okotoks, our main satellite communities, we're seeing 40% less inventory than this time last year. Now that is just insane. So the demand remains high. Wonderful time to be selling in the market based on that. A lot of people are asking me, should I wait until the new year? What about Christmas? Is Christmas a bad time to sell? I don't think it's going to be. Typically, we would see a pretty seasonal decline in the number of sales, and part of that is listings, but people have different ideas. But what we're seeing right now, and what I'm expecting to see, is a strong market based on the idea that people still want to move. They still haven't seen the right house for them. And if you are out there and 25% of your competition disappears on you, and we still have these serious buyers in the market, what do you think that's going to do for your sale price? Of course, it's going to help, right? So the question of, do we sell now or do we sell later? I think we know what's going on right now. Later, who knows? It's Calgary. Things can change on us. It looks strong for now, but of course, there's a lot of people pulling the strings out there. So I hope that part's been helpful. All right, so we're going to talk to the sellers now. It's a good time to be you. If you're thinking about selling and maybe exiting the Calgary market, or maybe moving up, moving down, wherever you're going, the selling side of your equation looks really good right now. So if you prepare your home well, and be careful with that, don't just think it's a hot market, I'll just throw it out there and see what happens. There is a better way to do that. And if you price it correctly, which is a big deal, and we'll talk more about that another day, of course. And then of course, if you get your marketing right and your timing and your strategy, you're probably going to find that you're going to be in multiple offers. You're probably going to find that you got more money for your house than you thought was possible. And you're probably going to get the terms that you want. So you get to move on the day that you like, and you're not going to be waiting around. What we've seen is that when we get 5 or 6 multiple offers, and we're able to finesse them up and shake out the bad ones and put the good ones to the top, you're going to find that's probably the dream offer. And that's sort of where you're sitting right now. And of course, if you're thinking about making a move to another market, well, a lot of those other markets are pretty damn hot too. You're going to want to have a strategy talk with somebody who knows what they're doing, and make sure that you're putting things in the right order, because you can make a real mess if you want to, we work in the British Columbia market as well. And to give you some perspective, we will have people who sold their house in Calgary, and they'll come out here and they're looking around going, oh my gosh, there's nothing to rent, there's nothing to buy, what do we do? And of course that creates a decision that is not always optimal. And now some advice for buyers. Well, the good news is it's a great market to be buying into. A lot of my biggest gains in real estate have been made in this kind of market, and I'm sure a lot of other people will tell you that. You ask any Vancouver investor, Toronto investor, Okanagan investor, they're all going to tell you we made the most money during these boom periods where things were getting a little bit crazy. And of course, it's uncomfortable buying into that market. Nobody ever wants to say, hey, I paid the most and it was a stressful experience and so on and so forth. But the opportunity is definitely there. There's a lot of tips for home buyers in this market. And I'm going to tell you a few of them real quick, just so we can kind of clear out some of the clutter that people may or may not know. So some of the stuff that comes to mind for me is, number one, be pre-approved. Don't show up saying, you know what, I think it's good, I make lots of money, I'm going to go get this loan. That's not the way it works in this market. The lenders are moving outrageously slow. You might get the best deal ever because you were quick to the draw on, your dream property, and then what you're going to find is your 1 week condition period, 2 week condition period, that might not be enough. We've had a lot of people fail with ample time that were very, very well qualified. So my advice to you is talk to your mortgage professional. Don't just do the online version of this. And you're going to want to say, this is what I want to do. What do you need from me for paperwork? Do you want to have it all ready and have it reviewed? Have it reviewed before you do anything. Number two, that I think is a great recommendation is prepare a cover letter. Tell your story. So, us as buyer's agents, we'll often send over our offers with a bit of a story that goes with them. We want to tell why they're qualified or why you're qualified, why it's a good idea to sell to you, what you liked about the house, and there's a lot of strategy that goes into, but there's something to be said for a note from you and your family. And I'll tell a quick story around that. So we had a listing this past year, and we ended up in multiple offers. So we ended up with 4 separate offers on this. And one gal wrote a letter and said, I love this house. This house reminds me of where I grew up, and I love the big trees. And ultimately, she really connected with the seller. And what ended up happening, and I had this conversation with him saying, Mike, I can get you more money. I can definitely get you more money. Just let me do this. And his words to me were, you know what? She seems to love the house as much as we did. And that means something to me. I want to pass this house on to somebody who's going to appreciate it and really, really love it. And I mean, it was a warm, fuzzy moment for me. I like to negotiate. I think we could have done better. But this young lady got this house based on that letter, and she probably saved herself $15,000 by doing it. I'm sure there was somebody else out there that was going to pay more, but that really worked out well in her favor. Other things we can do as buyers, being strategic in this space, is we can put our negotiation hats on and start asking questions as opposed to just trying to force things or make assumptions. So things like, what do you want, Mr. and Mrs. Seller? How about condition days? Are they important? Of course, the quicker we can do in a multiple offer situation, the better off we're going to be. Always recommended. Of course, you don't want to get yourself into a time crunch. I'm not the guy who ever recommends not doing strata or condo doc review. I don't think it's a good idea to not do a home inspection, but we're seeing a bit of that out there as well. So if people are well equipped and know the building in advance or whatever the case may be, there is opportunity to expedite your offer there. Big deposits get everybody's attention. It's kind of funny because they're not on the line, but if you can write a check for $50,000 or $100,000 as your deposit, you're certainly going to stand out as somebody who's equipped to get the financing done. And once again, going back to what does the seller want? Can we give them their ideal closing? Are we asking for something that they're not going to want to give up? Maybe mom and dad gave them that washer and dryer, and that's a sticking point. Important for your real estate agent to ask the right questions and be equipped to really negotiate strongly for you. And it's not always about price. I hope those tips have been helpful. Tune in anytime. We'd be happy to help you. And of course, we're going to have our phone number here somewhere. So feel free to reach out, and we would love to work with you.